Learning to program is an extremely hard skill. There is no denying that. So every little strategy or hack that can help me to learn programming faster, I'm definitely interested in hearing about. Now, I've been doing all the standard things when you're learning to code. I've been going through coding courses, online coding boot camps, watching tutorials on YouTube, and reading about programming as much as I can. But I have noticed one single thing that has really helped me learn the fastest when it comes to programming, and I've been doing it for maybe about 2 months now. And I think if you start doing this as well, it's going to help you to retain more information, and more importantly, it's going to help you to identify the holes in your understanding of certain concepts, logic, whatever it is. And the strategy is to record yourself. But let me explain what I mean and how I discovered that this approach is so successful. So I have a border collie and he needs to be walked out almost every single day, or go for a run, or whatever it is. He needs to exert some energy. Otherwise, he becomes a little bit of a terror in the house. And it's fine, of course, because it means me and the wife, we get to go out, move our bodies, which is good on days that we've been sitting down all day for work. So on these walks, my wife, she would ask me how my programming, sort of learning or courses are going, what I'm learning at the moment. And so I'll find myself saying, I'm learning JavaScript right now. And she would say, oh, okay, well, what's JavaScript? And I would have to explain what JavaScript is. And what I noticed is when I started to do that, it really forced me to think about what I was talking about, because I needed to explain it in a way that someone with no programming experience could understand. And so what was happening is, in those moments, I wasn't just recalling information. I was really testing whether I actually understood what I was talking about. I was trying to explain it to someone with no programming background, and it meant that I had to break things down clearly. And the only way to do that successfully, I found, is to truly know what I'm talking about. Now, of course, you can't explain everything about programming to someone that doesn't know anything about it, because these concepts, as they build on each other. If you don't understand certain fundamentals, then it feels like you're trying to read a book, in a language that you don't recognize. That's not really the point that I'm trying to make here. What I mean is that talking through these concepts, actually like verbalizing them, it makes me feel way more confident in my understanding than just passively watching a video. The thing is, you might learn something and you might feel like you understand it, but if you were asked by it, from a friend, or even in an interview, let's say what a ternary operator is, it might stump you, right? And my thinking is that it's better to do it beforehand when the stakes are low than to do it when it really matters. The late great Charlie Munger used to say, if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, then you don't understand it yourself. Now, like I said, programming, it isn't something that you can explain very easily to a 5-year-old, but the message is still spot on. If you struggle to articulate things clearly, that means that there's still room for you to deepen your understanding on that particular subject. And I'm guilty of this too. I know this because I have started to record myself explaining these things or explaining concepts. And I did this just the other day, trying to create a React app and creating some components, and I could see areas that I was confident in, and I could see other areas that I wasn't confident in. And that was just screaming out to me, those areas that I need to go back and I need to revise again. I can't tell you just how beneficial it's been in sort of highlighting my areas of deficit when it comes to programming. Even with the video that I just recently uploaded of me creating a quiz app, that took me way longer to record than the hour and a half that you see. I was trying to explain the function that I was building in a very simple way, but then I was, sort of getting a little bit confused along the way as well. I also learned how to explain what the reduce method is in JavaScript properly. It was just a hugely beneficial exercise. There is something about hitting record that makes us feel this real level of accountability. It's not just about getting something to work. Suddenly you have to actually understand what you're doing well enough so that you can explain it. And it's really in those moments that the gaps in, your knowledge becomes so apparent and so obvious. And I feel like if you don't do something like this, if you don't try to explain it to someone, or if you don't record yourself, you'll never really know whether you truly understand it or not. And if you're trying to prepare for, coding interviews, for example, I can't imagine a better strategy to start utilizing than to record yourself and to get some feedback. And of course, it's not about being fancy, none of this kind of studio lighting, a microphone, 5 different camera angles. You can do this with like a Zoom app. I think you get like 45 minutes of free recording. You can record your screen along with your face. You just need to run a session on your own. Another great app is Loom. I'll put some of these links in the description below. It's a free screen recording app. The free plan gives you like 2.5 minutes for free. So it's great for explaining things like a function or a tricky concept that you're working on. Something else that I've been doing is trying to summarize what I've learned for the day. So having a timer, it really forces me to be concise, which is typically a good thing, forcing you to get straight to the point. Obviously you can go fancy and use something like OBS Studio, but it's really not necessary. You can even use your free screen recording software on your laptop, or even just record yourself on the computer with your phone. The point here isn't about production quality, it's about getting your thoughts out of your head and just into real words and seeing where you struggle, because that's where you need to go back and you need to revise. And I can almost guarantee that you'll start to notice patterns in your mistakes, and once you see those patterns, you can start to make adjustments as well for your next recording. I went out and did a little research on this as well, and it turns out that there is some science to back me up. There's this technique, it's called the Feynman technique, named after the legendary physicist Richard Feynman, who was famous for his ability to explain extremely concept topics in simple terms. And his method was, number 1, choose a topic that you want to learn as much as you can. Number 2, explain it in simple terms. This is where you would start to record yourself. Number 3, you would identify gaps in your understanding. So where did you get stuck? Or, where did you start using vague language, like you just add this in here, or it just works. And number 4, the final one, is you go back and you refine. This is where you would relearn all those weak points that you discovered within the recording. And honestly, if this method is good enough for a physicist, then it sure as hell is good enough for me. So the main takeaway really is to start engaging a little bit more with the information that you're learning. And the best way that I've found to do that is to position yourself where you have to explain it. And the easiest way to do that is by recording yourself. And so I want to challenge you to try it today. Turn on your phone, turn on your screen recorder, whatever it is, and just walk through whatever you're working on. Or even if you're just watching a course, record yourself after the video and explain what you just learned. This has really helped me more than anything else, I can tell you, and I genuinely think it'll do the same for you. And if you do try it, please let me know how it goes. All right, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one.